Morning, YouTube. Well, behind me is Fort Vancouver, and where I'm walking right now, I'm on my way to Army Air Corps Pearson Field, and the area in between, in the early 1900s, was the world's largest spruce sawmill, and it was run by the Army to manufacture all the wood they needed for all the airplanes. And spruce is lightweight, strong wood, which is what they used back then on the World War I biplanes. So I'm going to head over and check out the Air Museum over here. So as I look at this, all I can think of is but those would make some wonderful schoolies. Short ones, long ones, medium-sized ones, flat nose, snouts. So Pearson Field was named after Lieutenant Alexander Pearson Jr. and he became famous in when a famous Army air pilot in the 20s. He was the first one to fly through the Grand Canyon. He died September 3rd in 1924 when an experimental plane he was flying crashed. So that's how this became Pearson Field. In June 1937, a Russian plane took off from Moscow to fly over the North Pole and headed for San Francisco. It had 2,000 gallons of fuel. The wingspan was 112 feet. And trouble is, between icing up and they were using a lot of fuel, but then they had a sudden oil pressure drop, so they unexpectedly landed here. They then went on to become to tour the United States for 6 months and ended up in Washington, D.C. Before heading home. I have a couple of friends that would love to see this. It's a 1929 Travel Air 4000. This is a model of the post in the spruce mill, so you get an idea of just how big an operation it was. Pretty nice accommodations. So this is a replica of a French plane that was the first plane built to specifically designed as a bomber, which would explain why there's the viewing port in front so you can see. And can you imagine that you had to stand up, fire the machine gun? It's a pusher. It's a Pearson 3, and it was modeled after that particular French aircraft. Biplanes and the replica back there. This is a model of the Russian plane that flew over the pole and landed here. There's a air racing plane. Imagine flying that little thing at super high speeds. When pilots returning from World War II, this plane was built by the North American Aviation Company affordable and had a lot of the characteristics of the Mustangs that they had flown during the war. So, if anybody had read anything about or seen anything about airplanes, and they always hear about the radial engine. This is the Pratt Whitney R985 engine, and because it was air cooled, didn't need a radiator, and it's all kinds of power. So this is was the standard for many, many years. This would have been typical of the engines that powered the planes in World War I. Okay, so going through the Pearson Airfield or Museum, there's they got real nice displays, take you right up through the history of flight, right from dirigibles on up to the B-57s and whatnot, but really because of the spruce factory here, they really concentrate on like a lot of the biplanes and stuff. So pretty neat, and no cost to get in, and it's a nice change. I was in Fort Vancouver yesterday, and they got, that's the 1800s, and then we're up into the 1900s. So right next to each other is pretty interesting.